Hello, I'm Jeff Myers, and welcome to Elgin Today. On this edition, we travel to a new Fix-It bike station along the Elgin Bike Path in Festival Park. Parker Thompson demonstrates how handy this stop can be for bike riders. The start-finish line will be Spring and Cooper, and Eric Larson tells us about the Elgin Classic bike race slated for July 29th. We hear from Mr. Phil Broxham as he received the Mayor's Award for Preservation in May. Mayor David Captain is back with us for his segment, and he brings two guests with us this time.
For our Spanish-speaking community, if you can wait for the last 10 minutes, we will be talking about the Fresh Farmers Market, and we will also be talking about the parade that we'll be having here in Elgin, as well as the Elgin Community Bikes. There's all this information. Hold on, and you get to hear it. See you in a bit.
We'll have these stories and more on this edition of Elgin Today.
I'm Parker Thompson. I'm with the local nonprofit Elgin Community Bikes, and we're here with the new Dero Fix-It station in Festival Park.
It looks great. You got to tell us. Folks are coming by and say, how does this work? So show us.
Sure, yeah. So it's got this handy set to be able to hang a bike by the saddle, and then it's a multi-purpose fix-it station that allows you to do everything from flat fixes to actually some more involved tune-up work.
Wow, tune-up work, I got to see that. This is one of two in town now, isn't it?
It is. So this one's here at Festival Park, and then there's a second one that the city installed on the river side of Gail Borden Public Library.
It's got to make you feel proud to have this, and we're such a bike capital, as you know, and you're a great part of it.
It's a great public resource. It's very exciting to be able to have access to some really lovely standard tools, public pump. We have a lot of people that start their bike adventures in Elgin, and we have a lot of people that pass through on bike adventures in Elgin, and so this is a nice resource to keep people rolling.
Oh, no doubt about it, because folks come from all over. If they're coming down from Algonquin or something, they want to, I got to have a stop somewhere.
They do, yeah, and so we've got a lot of people that come from the north or from the south, and then lots of people starting in Elgin on their own adventures on the trail here.
This brings, we're going through with the bike, we can shop downtown as well, can't we?
It is. It's a great pit stop to be able to stop off at a cafe or some of the restaurants, or check out some of the shopping options in downtown.
All right, Parker, you told us that we can change a tire here. What else can we do with this Fix-It shop?
The tool set here allows for a lot of bikes to be able to do everything from brake adjustments to some shifting adjustments. There's some multi-tools. And so depending on the bike, I'd say you can probably do maybe like 80 to 85% of the repair work that you might need to do on a bike. That's the tools. Then it's the knowledge. So the Fix-It station here has like some QR codes to be able to link over to some videos on how to guide people through some of that work.
You looked at me and started to shake your head. You have to be handy. That's what you were indicating, wasn't it?
Yeah, it's not a bad thing to be handy, to be able to take on some of these tasks. And then as the local nonprofit working with bicycles, we're also trying to help train people and teach them how to take care of their own bikes too.
Have you ever been caught somewhere? You take many long trips. Have you ever been caught somewhere and had a flat with no help?
Yeah, I've got two small kids, and they don't always avoid the debris along the trail, and so we've definitely had some on-the-go flat fixes, and there are definitely scenarios where a stand would have made that a lot easier.
Well, this is handy to have. Your kids have been biking since they were 2, I think, when you first came to town, so they've seen it all, haven't they?
They have. They've put lots of miles on, and we've had a variety of adventures.
Well, we're proud of this, and we're handy, the bicyclists, and we do have with our bike route here, bike trail, we do see a lot of folks, don't we?
We definitely do. We see a lot of people passing by and passing through and getting started.
Well, congratulations.
Thank you.
We're here for the Mayor's Awards for Preservation, and Phil Broxham, Grindstone Productions, you have put out museum moments. 26 of them, I think, in the calendar year, through the History Museum. They are so fascinating. You take little tidbits of Elgin history and you create, don't you?
So that's the idea, is it's either a textile or a photograph or some kind of artifact at the museum, and we do a little deep dive into it, 2 minutes, and they tell the story of whatever it is that we're featuring, and we did 26 this year, and we plan to do another 26 or so in 2023. Looking for a sponsor.
Well, there you go. You showed one of the more popular ones tonight at the Elgin, the Sweepers.
Yeah.
Elgin Sweepers. I went to Macomb, Illinois, Western Illinois. My first day there, I'm behind an Elgin Sweeper. It was
cool.
a proud moment.
Yeah.
They're all over, aren't they?
Yeah, absolutely. And I thought he did a great job. One of the cool things about Museum Moments was that we reached out to members in the community who, had some and connection to the whatever it was that we were featuring. So that guy was one of the public works guys who drives an Elgin Sweeper, who was our host for the show. Yeah,
they get as much national clearance in the modern day as the watch factory did in its day, don't they?
Yeah, right. Absolutely. Yeah, it's another company that it brands itself to Elgin, makes Elgin popular.
What was one of your favorites this past year?
I like the one about Jack Johnson. There's a photograph or a postcard of Jack Johnson, the heavyweight champion back in the early 1900s, and he was an auto racing fan, and he used to go to the Elgin National road races. Yeah, I think it was 1911 or whatever, and so that feature was awesome.
That's great. Mm-hmm. In boxing world, we're king of the road race in those days, so they're wonderful. So we get goosebumps when we look at them, and they're just 2 minutes long. They're great, aren't they?
Yeah, very short, and but like I say, a lot of information in those 2 minutes. So.
History Museum and Museum Moments. We appreciate this moment with you, sir.
Yeah, thank you. Appreciate it.
We are delighted on a beautiful day to begin thinking about, with you, Eric Larson, bicycle racing.
Absolutely. We're excited too, Jeff, and appreciate you being out here and giving us a really kickoff to the promotional campaign for this. On Friday, July 29th, this street is going to be filled with spectators and cyclists from around the world. Literally, we expect to have between cyclists from 35 to 40 states and several different countries. It's going to be a full day of activity. This year, it's the Elgin Classic, which is a name change for us. We're still honoring Dennis Jers, who was a cyclist, as you know, who was killed in a car accident where he was riding a bike and got killed in an accident in 2015. And the race is still in his honor and was actually founded as the Dennis Jers Memorial Race in 2017.
And that's what we're leaving. Hey, square up to that camera a little bit more, because we're just a handsome man. You're looking at me. That's what the price you pay. But we want to see on that. Okay. Well, again, with the everybody who comes here, when we call it the Elgin Classic, they come from all over the world. So it's great. It's a great showcase for us calling it that, isn't it?
Yeah, we're going to have over 500 racers, and they're going to have friends and family who come from outside Elgin to experience our great city. Yeah. They're going to be part of enjoying the race day. But, we really love it when people from Elgin come out and enjoy their own hometown and the experience as well.
That's why you're such a neighborhood here. Last year we talked with kids, folks from Canada. They do come from all over the globe, don't they?
Yeah, multiple countries. I've actually I am now friends with people from New Zealand, cyclists from New Zealand, because of this race.
Right?
And otherwise, how would I meet people from New Zealand, right?
Well, I hear some of the kids in this great neighborhood we have right here. Some of the bikers are right here housed, aren't they?
That's true. We have competitors in the race, because the race it's part of a 10-day series called the Intelligentsia Cup, and it's open to professionals, but there are classes divided by age, by sex, and by biking level. So it's also there's opportunities for amateur racers as well. Yeah,
and of course, as we mentioned, the Intelligentsia series, they're in Dundee, they're out throughout Chicagoland when they're here as well, aren't they?
That's right. Yeah, we kick off the final weekend of the 10-day series of racing, which is a well-established bike race in this area.
Again, remind us, what time does it start on July 29th?
It's essentially an all-day event, so the racing starts at 10 a.m. and goes till about 8:30 or so in the evening. And throughout the day, there's going to be literally a beer tent, food trucks, different activities.
Great.
Last year, we gave away 130 bicycles to deserving kids. We have training for kids for bikes so that they can keep safe, and it's just a full day of activity.
We'll tell the kids and their moms to get here early for those bike giveaways, though.
There'll be more.
They went pretty quick.
They literally went very quick, and there'll be more details about that coming out. So keep your ears open and your eyes open for news about the Elgin Classic on Friday, July 29th.
That's great, and of course the neighbors love it here because it brings so many folks to their area.
Yeah, I mean we've actually gotten great support from the neighborhood over the years, and last year it was a new course, which for those who know a little bit about cycling, it's a criterium style race course. If you're not, don't worry, it's also known as a shorter course. But the course we got such great feedback from the cyclists because it still has features like hill features and tight corners. Yeah. But also, if you're a spectator, you think about it, you actually get to see racers like every like 90 seconds instead of every 10 minutes. So it's a very different experience.
We're right at Spring. Cooper's right behind us here, Spring and Cooper. So yeah, they start just up the street a little bit, but you're right. We see them and we feel like we're part of it.
Yeah, and we will have our many sponsors will be set up at tents alongside where the food trucks are and the beer tent, and then a block over will be where the kids are learning how to ride safely, and some of them probably going home with new bikes.
So if they get here early, kids.
Yeah, absolutely.
That's over in the parking lot, the old parking lot for the lot.
It was last year. It's all going to be much closer to the start-finish area this year, so it will be very easy to find.
Oh, well, that's great. So everything basically right here. We love that. This is a great event. It showcases Elgin so well, and we appreciate all your hard work with this.
Thanks, Jeff. I appreciate that.
All right. Make sure you have Friday, July 29th with us, and we'll have a great bike race, won't we? The Elgin Classic. Thanks, Eric.
Absolutely. Thanks, Jeff.
You go get your bike and warm up, okay?
All right.
We all right with that?
Yep, good.
It's time for a June edition with Mayor David Gavin. Mayor, welcome back, sir. We've missed you as far as this program.
It's good to be back, and I'm always happy to do this program. And today we have a couple special guests, Aaron Cosentino and Barb Lopez from our 311 department. And I guess I'd like to start the conversation as part of this. There's been a movement locally for no mow Mays. And it causes a little bit of a problem and a little bit of consternation in some of the neighborhoods because grass has been growing like crazy. And Barb is that's a big part of her job, is making sure that people maintain their lawns. And we'll talk a little bit about the rules and guidelines for people. And how does no mow May? Now I've heard maybe they might go back and maybe we'll go to Mother's Day.
Is that what it is?
Yeah, and I think every year is a little bit different. So grass grows good one year, maybe not so good the next year.
And this year we had a lot of rain that was
we
keep
did,
you from mowing.
And warm weather and got things started up. But Barb is part of her job is making sure that people maintain their lawns in the city of Elgin. And a lot of our things are complaint driven. It's not like we go hunt for things particularly, but maybe Barb can explain what her guidance is when she goes out on a complaint.
Barb, welcome to the show. How long have
Thank
you
you.
worked for the city?
This was my 10th season.
Oh, congratulations.
Thank you.
What should we know?
Well, the rain, it does live the grass and the weeds. Usually when we receive a complaint, I go in and inspect the property that the complaint has been made on. I measure the grass and the weeds. If it is over 8 inches, then I will put a notice on the front door and the door hanger.
This is for everybody's home.
And I also like to add a flyer with pictures of some of the weeds that we're looking at. So the customer will get that, and then they'll have 7 days in order to comply. I go back out on the 7th day, and if unfortunately it's not complied, we do give an additional 48 hours.
All right. Well, that's exacting science, and much of the citizens of Elgin have come to know what to do with it.
Yes, they have. Elgin itself is just such a wonderful town. But yes, the community's great about keeping their lawns mowed and calling in concerns.
Wonderful. And Mayor, you're always mowing when you can, aren't you?
I tried to, yep, and that was one of my goals with having my knee replaced. I want to be able to cut my own grass. And I'll ask this question for both Aaron and Barb. I've had some issues with people in the past. Many of them are homes that are not occupied. They may be owned, or a realtor may have control of it, or the bank. And how do you deal with that? And how do we go back? And I've had some very interesting conversations with people about mowing. I said it's a pretty expensive mow job from our side of the fence. So how do we deal with those kind of things?
Aaron, we got to cast it forth, so let me lean over here a little bit.
No problem. Yes, so for vacant properties and for those that may not receive a lot of attention from the owners, we will go out there and we will still provide the notice that we're required to. So we have to give people a reasonable amount of time to come into compliance. So Barb will still post the property as normal, and when she returns, if she's aware that it's been an ongoing issue and she kind of knows the property, she'll just call for that cut right there. And then we do contract with a contractor here. I believe that they're a local contractor, and they will go out and with their crews, they'll cut that lawn, and then they provide us an invoice for that work. The city then takes that invoice and bills that property owner. So they ultimately do become responsible for those costs that the city incurs to maintain their property for them, yes.
We live in a community that most of the homeowners love to keep their home looking good.
Sure, and most people are very compliant, but there are those instances where there can be a problem. And I guess kind of a follow-up question. I know people that there have been pictures in the paper about the no-mow lawns and those kind of things. So now the grass is up above the knee, and when they cut that, it looks like a hayfield. Does the city require them to clean that up, or how do we deal with that, or is that just up to the property owner to deal with that?
Like most things, it's a case-by-case basis. So if they can, of course, we would encourage them to clean that up. Now, our ordinance is grass in excess of 8 inches, right? So if it is down, laying down, even laying flat, and it's bigger than 8 inches, technically you'd still be in violation. So for all intents and purposes, definitely clean that up. That's totally encouraged. And that's why, especially early in spring, month of April, we do allow for that free yard waste collection. So April is just your month to get out there, clean up your yard, take down your shrub, trim up the trees that you have, and mow your lawn for the first time. And it's free. You can put on as many bags as you want. And as a reminder, sticks and brush, if you bundle them in 5-foot by 2-foot bundles, free year round. You never need a sticker for those. And then the same in October. So when the season's over, when you're done, you can clean up your yard for October, get it ready for winter. The full month of October is free yard waste pickup.
The bundling's a nice aspect, isn't it?
It is, and that's, it's a service offered by the city, and it's just a matter for clarification sometimes for people. They just don't understand it. Sure. I always talk to people that said, they move into a neighborhood, maybe they moved here from Mount Prospect. So they don't know our guidelines and what we do here, so we have to educate people, and that's a continuing process. One last thing about the lawns, some things grow faster than others, and one of the ones that's always out there for people is dandelions. And boy, once you cut your grass, in 2 days they're back up. And what's the approach for dandelions and weeds like that, Barb?
Sometimes it's a good service. We'll take care of some of that.
Dandelions are in a class by itself. They are the gift to the insect world. They truly are. And you don't have to go out to a nursery and buy them to plant them for your bees and your butterflies. So we therefore do not pretty much, police that.
Good.
However, the season is so short for the dandelions that we just encourage them to let them grow.
Aren't bees the most important insect in the world for us?
I believe they are.
The stories we've heard, aren't they?
I believe they are. I believe every insect is.
So don't touch those dandelions, man.
Well, it's a changing world, and we're more in tune to things around us now. And if you come by my house, we have a natural garden right in front of our house, and in the summertime, it's about that tall, and flowers, and it encourages butterflies, and our neighbors are trying to bring monarchs back.
Oh, gosh,
and
yeah.
things like that. So it's part of what a new Elgin is, and we have to get away. And people years ago, I know my dad was like that. Boy, that grass was cut every week. That was my job, and if I didn't do it, I heard about it.
Were you good at it?
Oh yeah. Hey, that was my favorite job. I worked for the city, cutting out a Bluff City cemetery. And I did. And we kept up with the grass. But that was the mentality at that time. They wanted it to look like a nice, neat lawn. And people are getting a little bit away from that now.
Yeah.
And Aaron brought up something I think is important as we move into the summer. We need to talk a little bit about people's recreation and the swimming pools that people have. And how does the city deal with those? And I think people have the mentality that, well, it's my property, I can do what I want. But there are some conditions for that. So, Aaron, explain to us about the portable pools and the summer swimming pools.
You're the pool man now, Aaron.
Yes, that's right. So during the summer, a lot of people want their kids to have somewhere cool to play, especially in the backyards and things. So they'll buy these pools, and the pools have become extremely affordable, and they're big. But you can go to Meijer, you can go to any big box store, and you can get a pretty sizable pool for not as much as it used to be. One important thing that a lot of folks don't realize is that we do require a permit for those above ground pools. If the pool is 24 inches or higher, that does actually require an above ground pool permit, believe it or not.
And the reason behind it isn't to do, an over-regulation type of thing. It's for public safety. You might watch your kids like a hawk when they're in the pool. But for these above ground pools, the most important thing is the fencing around it. You actually do need a fence around that pool if it's above 24 inches, but below 4 feet, right? So if it's in that area, and it's to protect people from entering the pool, other kids when you're not home, etc. Because drowning is a very real hazard for young people when they're playing in pools. And so my biggest recommendation for people is, if you want an above ground pool, get one that's lower than 24 inches if you don't want to deal with a permit. But if you're going to go 24 inches or above, just come in to the city, talk about what you want to do, and then we'll let you know if you're going to need a permit or not. And also, one other thing to remember is the homeowners associations sometimes restrict those above and beyond what the city does. So you would still be subject to all of those regulations too. So just because the city might give you a permit for it doesn't mean that your homeowners association will allow that pool.
And the permit would come right into City Hall. Get that?
Absolutely, yes.
All right. Well, that's great.
One last tie-in with that, and from one of the complaints that I get a lot of, and for people, Aaron talked about the fences. There are a lot of people putting up privacy fences. Please find out where your property line is and find the requirements, because people put them right on the property line, or they think they know where it was, and it may not be the case. So please do that, and you need to have that kind of information before. A lot of people do this as a home improvement project and do it themselves. Just make sure you know where your property line's at.
We're down to just about 30 seconds or thereabouts. Do we leave anything out, Mayor?
I think we covered a lot of ground, and it's important information
so to speak.
for people. We want to keep people out of trouble, and we want Elgin to look like the great city that it is.
A lot of ground and a lot of grass we covered.
Yes, we have.
Anything else, Barb?
No, but thank you very much for inviting me on.
We're delighted to see you.
Yes,
Where did you go to school?
Went to school in Southern Illinois.
Really? All right. Are you a Saluki then? Is that where you went to college?
Yes.
All right. And?
Where did I go to school?
Yeah, why not? We got 12 seconds.
University of Illinois at Urbana-Champaign.
All right. Find me online.
I know.
All right. Well, Mayor, I think that wraps things up.
Thanks, Jeff, and we'll look forward to seeing you again next month.
That's our June edition. We appreciate everybody being here.
Por fin nos llegó el verano y quería dejarles saber que hay tantas cosas que hacer aquí en nuestra comunidad de Elgin. Primeramente, los viernes, empezando el 3 de junio, tenemos el mercado agricultural, que en sí tienen diferentes cosas. Tienen verduras, obviamente, pero tienen muchas cosas que comer, son más saludables para nosotros, y que es interesante ver cómo hacen todos, porque realmente todos estos agricultores que tenemos a nuestro alrededor vienen y en sí exponen todas las cosas que ellos tienen, súper interesante. Si al caso quieren unos antojitos también, y los viernes también tienen música que en vivo pueden venir a ver eso. Y en sí empieza los viernes. Está ubicado aquí en el centro de Elgin, que está entre la calle Chicago Street y la Spring, más o menos, aquí en el mero centro. Si al caso se pierden, pueden preguntar, porque todo el mundo sabe, se cierran las calles, pueden venir, caminar con sus carriolas, ver qué tienen en sí. Realmente siempre hay algo rico para comer, un antojito y muchas cosas muy saludables. Y quería dejarles saber, si tienen en sí el link card, en el mercado lo puede usar. Cada $20 comprar muchas verduras, doble de las verduras, triple más bien. Aseguren que vengan, traigan su tarjetita, porque la verdad le va a rendir muchísimo ahí. En sí, vengan a disfrutar lo que es aquí en Elgin. Aquí en la comunidad, en Elgin, en el centro, por la Grove Street, tenemos lo que le llaman Elgin Community Bikes. Tienen bicicletas, si al caso necesitan para los niños, si no tienen fondos, ellos les ayudan, porque realmente son bicicletas utilizadas desde antes, personas las donan y tratan de en sí arreglarlas y tratar de dárselas a las personas que gusten. Si necesitan arreglar bicicletas, todo es muy económico. Y una vez al mes, cuando está la luna llena, salen de noche, súper divertido, pueden poner lucecitas a las bicicletas y salen a rodar, y ellos aseguran que nadie se queden atrás. es todo en un grupo familiar, se pueden traer los chiquititos, los grandes y todos quieran ciclar. Ahorita que estamos en el verano hay que aprovechar, hagan ejercicio, como estábamos hablando, es importante mantenerse saludable, hacer ejercicios y correrle, ciclarle, nadarle, lo que necesitan hacer. Aquí se presta para alguna pregunta, avísenme, mándenme un mensaje, pero vengan aquí a Elgin Community Bikes porque ahí también están ayudando para que nuestra comunidad estén rodando. Hasta luego, adiós. For more information, please visit cityofelgin.org. Para más información, por favor visite nuestra página cityofelgin.org. Don't forget, for city services, call 311. Call, click, connect. Para servicios de la ciudad, no olvide llamar 311, llamar, conectar y textear.